Chiefs Kingdom, all chiefed up here. I'm Steve. I'm over here with Mike, and we are talking about this NFL draft. It's over with. It's done.
It's in the
It's the big.
books.
It's the big what now? I mean, we've been waiting all these months, all this talk,
Hey,
all these mock drafts, and
yeah,
man,
we've been watching film and obsessing over these dudes for like 4 months, and it ends in like what is it, like 12 hours? It's done. This makes me feel like an idiot.
yeah. Well, I mean, the last day, day three, always seems like it takes forever, but I mean, they move along pretty quickly.
Yeah. So well, we did get some picks right though this year. We
We
guessed a
did.
lot of picks right actually.
We did. Brett Veach, he did well this year. I have to give him that.
Yeah, so we kind of said on Twitter that, you know, we didn't necessarily want a corner in round one. We didn't think the value was there at 29 or 30, but hey, we had Trent McDuffie fall down the board and they seen value and they went to get him. And obviously was Veach targeting corners and safeties in this draft because that's what he was doing. So we said, hey, if they target a corner, let's go get McDuffie. He's the only one we would want. And lo and behold, there it was. I had mocked George Karlaftis at 29 or 30. He fell. We took him. That was kind of a surprise. I figured they'd find a reason to pass on him like they always do. And then who else did we hit? We hit Josh Williams today in round 4. I actually mocked that. Steve actually said on the reaction episode last night of day 2 that he wanted to see him bring in Darian Kennard. They did that today. So Steve called one there. Yeah. So, Sky Moore. We called Sky Moore as well in round 2. That was a steal with Sky Moore, wasn't it? I didn't think he'd be that far
Well,
down the board, to be honest. But
it's great value on Sky Moore. But yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
so
after all of our analysis and guesses and all that good stuff, we didn't do too bad. Could have been much worse.
could have been much worse. Some of these mock draft guys out here were way off. And at least we got to, claim at least 3 or 4. That's not too bad.
Got a few. I mean, it's not necessarily who I didn't, predict Kennard in my actual predictions, but it was just after last night, I was like, let's do it. Like,
Yeah,
let's
well,
pull it
when we did our
together.
actual predictions, we kind of just, we have to guess. And then once you get to round 3, 4, 5, whatever, you're just guessing. But we seen how the board fell, and then you kind of made the call on it. And I think Kennard will be a good pick there. I don't see how that was a bad pick at all. I've seen some people on Twitter acting like they didn't love it, but
There's people on Twitter that don't even know who Wandale Robinson was. So, I mean, I don't care. But hey,
that's
let's
true.
just go ahead and talk about day 3. We'll go ahead and give our instant reaction on day 3.
Let's do it.
So,
Let's do it.
the first pick in the 4th round, uh, pick 135, they went ahead and took Joshua Williams, cornerback from Fayetteville State.
Yeah.
This is one that you had actually mocked to them. Actually, you had them taking them in like the 7th round, but I mean, uh,
Yeah.
reaching for defensive backs was the name of the game this year. So he went ahead and took Joshua Williams there. How'd you feel about that pick, Mike?
I like the pick. Josh Williams, as I had tweeted out, was actually, in my opinion, I comped him to James Bradbury, corner for the New York Giants. Veach was apparently in talks with the Giants, trying to maybe snag Bradbury for maybe a 3rd or a 4th round pick if we take his contract. They didn't want to take his contract, I guess. That's why he's there. But I mean, Josh Williams kind of looked like him a little bit. So that was my comp. I did have him going in the 7th round, but as you said, there was a lot of cornerback and safety reaching throughout this draft. And some of the ones we thought was going to be there, got drafted later. So it was a wild cornerback safety class, to
Some
be
that
honest.
we thought were going to be drafted 3rd, 4th round, like Josh Jobe, didn't even get drafted. So I mean,
Yeah.
it was very odd. Um, so yeah, when they picked Joshua Williams, it was a very meh pick to me. Like, it's like I'm not mad at it, but it's nothing exciting. I wasn't like, oh, sweet, we got another cornerback.
Yeah, because like I
Yeah,
said, I think, 4th round, you could start looking at him, I thought, but coming from Fayetteville State, um, very, very low competition level.
right.
He has good size, good project. I mean, he's a project guy, and I just kind of felt like at round 4, kind of too early to take a project guy, especially since you took McDuffie early on with pick number 1 and you give away picks to take him. So I kind of thought there was some other players there maybe you could have picked in that
Right.
case.
So
honestly, Kennard we took in round 5, and me and you both had Kennard higher than Josh Williams on our big board. So
I
I guess
mean,
the Chiefs valued corner more.
Brett Veach went along with the theme. The first day, I wasn't sure about trading up and taking corner in the first round. Once again, McDuffie's awesome. Glad we got him. Just wasn't big on trading up to take a corner in the first round. But then he lifted my spirits by drafting George Karlaftis, and I was like, cool. Well, this turned out to be really good. So completely fine after day one. Get back into day two, pass up on all these players that we were big on. Ends up taking Sky Moore, and then he really ticked me off when he started reaching for Brian Cook, the
Steve
safety from
was hot.
Cincinnati.
He
I
was hot.
was, and the thing about it is the same deal. Like Brian Cook's fine. I like Brian Cook. He's a thumper. Watch his tape. It's fun to watch. Like I like that. But once again, I'm like, why are we taking Brian Cook at 62 when we can take Brian Cook at 103? I felt like there were people on the board.
Hey, I got some insight to that pick a little bit today. I seen Andy Reid, talking about that pick, and he said he was a huge Brian Cook fan. So Andy Reid apparently has loved this guy. He may have had a little input on him. He said he loved the way he hit. He loved his ranginess, and he thought he could do a lot of the same stuff Justin Reid could do. So they said that they believe if he would have got to perform all the combine stuff, which he couldn't do because he had a shoulder injury, that they believed he would have performed, well enough that he would have been a second, third round selection, which is kind of what I alluded to you yesterday. He was still one something on our boards, like 115 ish. So, you know,
Right.
round
So no
three,
matter how you look at it, no matter how good the guy is, still a reach. We reached for a safety in the second round. So then, of course, I was a little flustered about that, but then they went ahead and they got Leo Chanel at pick 103.
love that guy.
Got my spirits back up again. Like, oh well, now I'm looking back. I'm not so mad about the Brian Cook pick. And once again, it's not because of Brian Cook. It's just that they had reached on Brian Cook. That was my
Yeah. So talking about Leo, just really quick. Last night I tweeted about I didn't kind of understand the Leo pick because I thought he played a lot of middle linebacker. But again, Veach clarified that what they're going to do there is they're going to put Leo in the Sam position, the strong, which Steve alluded to actually. And that allows Willie Gay to go back to his natural will position with Bolton in the middle. So now that they kind of clarified that for me, and I didn't really think he was going to compete with Bolton so much, great pick. Obviously, we love the guy, but see, sometimes you just kind of you don't really understand what they're going to do with the pieces until they fit. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the things I tweeted, wanted to clarify that because I think I was like late night tweeting, your brain starts getting loopy, and I was talking about like Willie going back to his Sam position, but I meant to say Willie going back to his will position. And I don't know. We've tweeted way too much in the past 2 days. Let's be honest.
right. So to get to my point that I was trying to make, he did the same thing today. Josh Williams early reached bad on a cornerback, and here I was like, man, it doesn't surprise me, whatever. But there was still a lot of good names on the board at that point. So once again, just kind of like a little irritated about it, but not mad. And then he turned around in round 5, traded up to pick 145, took it from Seattle, and drafted Darian Kennard, the offensive tackle from Kentucky, who I've been big on. And like Mike said, I even said last night at the end of our reaction show that I hope that we could land him today in day 3. So once
What
again,
what did we give up to move up to get Kennard? Because I didn't see the trade, in my opinion.
we
I mean,
just swapped.
not my opinion. I just didn't see it. Let's be
We
honest.
swapped and traded pick 233. So
Okay.
we lost our first pick in the 7th round. So
Okay,
yeah,
because I thought we had 4. Okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
right. So they draft Darian Kennard. Now I'm good again. So at that point, I was looking at the overall draft after Kennard, and I'm like, okay, sweet. Like this is a really good draft. Like Veach, um, I'm still. A lot of people's giving the Chiefs an A+ on this draft. Like a lot of people are, and it was a great draft for the Chiefs. I think it was one of the best in the whole league, like no doubt. But you know, after the Kennard thing, I was back to giving Beach around to A, like this has been a solid draft. Now the next 3 picks, then the 7th round, like obviously it's kind of a crapshoot, and I won't let that really phase me as far as grading the draft for the Chiefs. But the only pick that I even slightly think was okay in the 7th round was pick 251, Isaiah Pacheco. the running back from the Rutgers. From Rutgers, he's fast, man. He runs like a 4.3, and he's a big dude. Like he's got a lot of size. I think he's like 212, almost 6 feet tall, and he runs a 4.3. So I thought that was an interesting pick. And I know we potentially needed another running back in that room if McKinnon's not coming back. So I mean, I was good with that. The other two, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pacheco is he's about Kareem Hunt size. I know there's been a few that I've looked at and said, "Hey, they look like Kareem Hunt." And they're what, I was kind of, when I was mocking running backs to the Chiefs, I was trying to find late round guys that kind of fit the 6', 215 profile. And if they had that, which is what Kareem Hunt was, and I like the way they looked on tape, I was giving them the Kareem comp, and I was saying, hey, we may look to do that. Pacheco was one of those guys coming out of Rutgers. He runs hard. He's super fast, like you said. I think he ran like what was it, 4.3? You said
4.34, I believe.
dude, that's fast. That's way faster than Kareem Hunt was. I think Kareem Hunt was like a 4.6 something. So if he pans out, again, it's a 7th round pick. You don't know what it's going to be. And I'm with Steve. The Watson and the Johnson picks there in the 7th round, I don't know. Like Veach just really valued safeties and corners and just DBs in general, but I guess that kind of makes sense in a way. I mean, we've lost what? We lost Honey Badger, we lost Armani Watts, we lost Daniel Sorensen, and then he brings in, you know, he brings in Cook in round 2. That'll replace one of them. He brings in Johnson. Maybe Johnson hits and replaces another one. Maybe you convert Watson at 6'3", 205, which I don't think he's actually 6'3". I think they kind of hyped that up a little bit. He may go to safety. And then at corner, we lost, who do we lose? Chris Lamons, which he wasn't much anyways, but a depth body.
I think
We
we still
lost
have him, don't we? We didn't cut him, did we?
I'm not for sure. But either way, I don't know if he's going to play.
Travarius Ward was
But
the
we
only
did
one that we
lose
lost.
Ward.
Yeah.
Did we re-sign Hughes?
Oh no.
So
So
see,
we
look,
lost
there's
Ward and Hughes.
yeah. So and if you count Lamons, which I don't know if he's going to be valuable, I mean that was 3 for 3, and you had to replace 2 safeties, at least for special teams purposes and things. So, I mean he kind of just let the DBs walk this year, no matter where you were at, and you took your money or you didn't take the contract or we didn't offer it, and they said, hey, we're going to go to the draft and we're just going to get younger with these guys and see what we hit on. I think that's what he did, and that's what he valued. And we kind of thought he was going to do that with the receiver, but it looks like he did it with DB, which goes back to our point that maybe the receiver room wasn't as bad as everybody was making it out to be.
Yeah, I think it almost looks like a joke. Like he was just trying to see how many defensive backs he could cram in that room or something. Like,
It was
but
kind of funny.
I mean, all in all, when you really look at it, I'm not mad at it. We needed to go a lot of defense. The only thing that I was kind of off on those 2 picks is instead of was it Jalen Watson was the first one that we picked?
Yeah. Washington State.
Right. I mean, Josh Jobe was still on the board, who ended up being undrafted, and also Mario Goodrich was still on the board, who ended up being undrafted. I would have took either one of those 2 over Watson. So, uh, it is, it is what it is. But then,
I
and then
mean,
also even at the safety pick, uh,
well,
I would have preferred Yusuf Corker from Kentucky or somebody like that as opposed to Najee.
that was kind of one I was thinking. I was thinking Yusuf Corker been a very good possibility there at late round 7, but they did take Najee Johnson. Again, that's a guy we were talking about off air, and like we dive in deep to some of these prospects, and he was kind of a guy that was never really discussed. I don't even think we watched too much film on him, if any. So that was kind of a very off the wall pick in our opinion. But I mean, they've got hundreds of scouts that do this way more than we do. So, I mean, it probably fit the system better in their opinion. But what I was going to say is with Watson, he's like supposed to be like 6'2", 6'3". But I noticed we wasn't the only ones doing that. A lot of teams are valuing size corners this year because earlier I'd tweeted, hey, the Vikings are coming up. Are they going to take the quarterback? And they ended up taking a Caleb Evans out of Missouri. And I mean, his only quality was his height because I don't know, like he was very questionable to be taking that early for trading up anyway. So obviously these guys are just going big in the DB area because Josh Williams is 6'2". This is just the new trend, and I guess that's why Joe maybe fell down the board a little bit, in my opinion.
Which makes it actually, when you really look at it, it doesn't make any sense because the trend should be getting fast corners because the whole trend of the NFL's receivers have gone to short and fast.
Yeah, Tyreek. They've all went to that
Yeah, Cooper
kind.
Cup, name them. There's a bunch, but that's kind of what they've been trending towards. And yeah, I would think that they would just want really fast cornerbacks. But yeah, I preferred Job or Goodrich there. Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and take Jalen Watson. I'm not too mad about it. But then again, there were still some players on the board that we could have went ahead and took. Um, Samori Torre being one of them. I know that I actually forgot to put him on the list when I was saying I'd like to see these players come out here in the 7th round. Any of these names would be cool. I forgot to put it, and someone called me out quick. Let me get this dude's name.
Oh, he's watching out for me, is what he's doing.
It was funny because I actually meant to put Torre on there because I knew you were big on him. It is Chiefs fan 51 1981 on Twitter. Let's see. It just says NY Chiefs fan. But yeah, he called me out quick. He was like Samari Torre, and then he said Devontae Price and just Sean Corbin are names that I would add.
Hey,
And then
Devontae Price, a good running back, but he ran a 4.2, 4.3 as well out of I think Florida International. But Pacheco wasn't. I mean, that was the way they were going, so that kid was on the right track with him, I
yeah,
believe.
Pacheco, he's my favorite pick late in the 7th round. The other two, like I said, you can kind of do without it or whatever. Man, did you catch the? This is great. So it's been deleted now because I guess at Arrowhead Live got a little. I wouldn't say scared, but I don't know why they decided to delete it. But he actually had put up a tweet talking about uh we drafted, Leo Chenal and I don't know, Karloftis and McDuffie and yada yada yada. And he just put the days of the missed tackles and missed assignments by Hitchens and Sorensen and Neiman are over. And Hitchens literally got on there and replied to it. Like this dude's such a loser. He replied to it and he was basically it's been deleted, so I can't tell you what it said, but it was to the extent of get out from behind your keyboard. Like I dare you to go look at the missed assignments or missed tackles and tell me yada yada. It just went on, his big thing. And it was great. Like the Arrowhead Live literally just responded and said, have a good day, Anthony. Something like that. But isn't it amazing that this dude that thinks
How did we end up with a group of players with Hitchens and Honey Badger and all them that just want to be keyboard warriors and fight with people so much? Like, if you put as much time into just taking care of your business on the field, we couldn't say quit missing tackles. Like,
right?
go work on a tackle drill, bro. You're making $40 million.
That's my favorite part about it. If you think so highly of yourself and you think you're so great, then why do you have time to sit around on your couch on Twitter looking for people to get mad at? It's
Dude,
just funny. I
just
don't. Where did
shut
Hitchens?
up.
Did Hitchens even go anywhere? Did somebody sign him?
I don't even know. I wouldn't sign
I
Hitchens.
wouldn't either. Just off of that. That's also why Honey Badger don't have a team yet because they can't shut up on
Exactly. These
Twitter.
dudes need to shut up. Like, I know that
I
we're
mean,
just nobodies sitting behind a microphone, but at the same time, if I was blessed with God-given ability to do what they're doing with myself and my life and making so much money that I didn't even know how to
right.
spend it, I think I would have a little bit of humbleness and I'd shut up and just do what I
Yeah.
need to do.
I mean, they look like losers, bro. Like for real. Like I mean,
Bro,
every athlete, every professional athlete gets criticized, especially on social media. I mean,
dude, it
we're in a
comes with the
time
territory.
we're in a time where everybody gets criticized. So
Dude, we get criticized.
if you're out in the
Who are we?
spotlight, if you're out in the spotlight and you're a professional athlete, you're going to get criticism. And the fact that they have such thin skin, it just makes me think that, they have no confidence in themselves. I think they realize that they suck a little bit and hey, maybe I did not play up to my standards this year. Maybe I missed some tackles and missed this and that. It's almost like they have such thin skin when it comes to it because, it's kind of one of them things. You call people out on their crap and they get defensive and it's just crazy to me, but
It's
whatever.
it's annoying because
Hey,
it's like
let's
Hitchens
not
and
let's
Honey
not let
Badger.
let's not let oh Hitchens ruin our draft episode. I just had to bring
No,
that up because it was hilarious. It was funny. But yeah, so at Arrowhead Live, props on that. Shouldn't have deleted it though. I
no.
I loved you for a minute, but now I lost just a tad touch
Hey,
bit of respect because you deleted it. Should have left it
stick
there.
stick by it. Stick
Yeah.
stick with your guns there, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get back to this draft. What do you rate Brett Veach's performance? Like, what's your final overall letter grade now that we went through rounds 4 through 7 today?
So I think the consensus is that the Chiefs had an A+ draft, that they were the top team in the draft, or at least like equally the top team with Baltimore. But I'm gonna stick with what I had going yesterday. I'm gonna give Brett Veach and company A- overall, and like I said, it's for the same reasons. I feel like that we didn't necessarily have to get corner in the first round, but you can't knock them for going to get McDuffie. So, like I said, I'm not gonna knock him for that. I am gonna knock him for the Brian Cook reach. And let me tell you, I've watched more Brian Cook tape, and I love him. Like, I love the way he plays. I love the tenacity he plays with. I love how he hits people. Um, like, that's my type of safety, and, like, I want another Bernard Pollard, and I even said that. I was like, "As much as you guys are valuing this guy, he better be the second coming of Bernard Pollard." So, but, I do like it. So I'm not dogging the player, but I do think he reached in that position. Also, when we got to day 3, I did not like the Joshua Williams pick. Not that I don't like the player necessarily. I couldn't tell you a whole lot about the player, but I don't like where we took him. Thought it was a big reach there. He did save himself with Kennard. And then, like I said, in the round 7, I don't hold that against anybody too much because it's round 7. But I do think there were some available players there that we could have nabbed that could have been productive somewhat, like Torrey. But I do like the Pacheco pick. I do like him. I think that he's like maybe a little diamond in the rough, and I think he'll make the team for sure. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with that A-, man. I think overall Veach did a really good job. I'm happy with it. I think the team looks much more exciting than they did before the draft. Like, I can't wait to see how this defense looks. It's going to be a totally different look. And then, of course, our offense with Sky Moore now, uh, Juju, MVS, and McCole. I mean, that's going to be interesting too, man. So I'm pumped about it. I'm okay with how the draft turned out, even though a couple of my guys didn't get picked, and we had to watch a couple of all chiefed up my guys go to the Broncos and stupid things like that. But I mean, hey, that kind of thing happens. And overall, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the draft, and I'm ready to move forward and see what these guys do.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I would say I was going to say a B plus. That was going to be my final. And the
Wow.
reasoning behind it is I just honestly believe Veach and them got too wrapped up in that DB room. I believe they let some opportunities squander a little bit. I believe I love Trent McDuffie. I don't mind that you traded up, but I believe that they give up a little too much. I really think in the end that kind of hurt some of our ability to move up and down and get other players we wanted. Veach even had to take a risk there at pick 50 and try to recoup a 5th round pick and come down to get Sky Moore. In the process, we lost George Pickens. If he was on the board, fine. I think Moore was higher still. But it's very possible somebody could have jumped right back in front of us and took Sky Moore, and he'd have lost that too over just trying to get back one of those picks he give up
Right.
for McDuffie. And so I believe they give up a little too much there. And that's the only reason I knocked the first. That's the only reason I knocked day 1 at all. That's my very small, and I think we give day 1 like an A minus, and that's the only reason day 1 wasn't an A plus, to be honest. Then when we get to day 2, I actually like day 2. I like that they did recoup the pick. I like that they were able to trade back and still get Sky Moore. I like Sky Moore. That's just the way it is. With you, it was a little bit of a reach on Brian Cook. I do like Brian Cook, but it was a slight reach. Now, again, if you look at projection, maybe if he does more drills or something like that, he is up on everybody's board like that. You never know. Like, obviously, their board, our board's totally different. We don't see medicals, we don't see things. We've already discussed this. So then Leo Chenal, excellent pick. That was beautiful value. He's probably the most value out of every pick we got. Let's be honest. He
Love
was
that
a
pick. I
dude.
love that pick.
He should have been a first round pick. We were actually us, Broshmo, everybody else was actually gonna pencil him in at the number 32 pick for the Lions in round 1. We were doing that a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. And so yeah, round 2 and 3, he hit pretty well. And then, like I said, today he got off track just a little. Josh Williams was fine. I believe that round 4, it may not have been a big reach, but for the amount of project that he's going to be, like you're basically just seeing him play a step up from, high school, for some of these players. Like he's not going against SEC talent. He's not going against, and like I've always said, corner is one of the hardest things to translate in year one. So he's probably going to struggle. I don't even know if he sees the field in year one. Who knows? He's going to have to be great. But I felt like that was a little bit of a reach. Kennard was fine. I'm very puzzled as if why you wanted to trade up for Kennard, but yet I feel like Kennard should have been higher than Josh Williams on your draft board. So
Yeah.
maybe why not Kennard in round 4 and sit where you are in round 5 and take Josh Williams? And honestly, if somebody comes up and takes Williams, did you value him that much more than Jalen Watson or somebody you took in the 7th? Like to me, this just doesn't really. I don't know. I just don't understand Veach's direction there at the end because I felt like we should have been in a place to take pretty much best player available. And I feel like he just kind of got pigeonholed on the DBs. Like that's what I feel happened. I'm not going to say I'm smarter than Veach. I'm not. Me and Veach are going to get together one of these days, have a little lunch. We're going to talk about this. But let me tell you something. I'm going to let him know that he got a little pigeonholed here. And especially with Najee Johnson, hey, I hope the kid does great. I hope he makes the team. I hope he's awesome. But I just feel like that even in itself was kind of wasted. You had some wide receivers. You could have maybe took a flyer on Justin Ross, somebody right there, because
Yeah.
I
That's
do believe like we missed the mark on the wide receiver a little bit. I believe at the end of this draft, we wanted to get 2 wide receivers. And that's
yeah.
why I was so big on Torrey. And because we took another corner with Watson, we could have took Pacheco there. And with Pacheco's pick, we could have took Samari Torrey, but yet we allowed Green Bay to snipe him right before we picked there at the end. And Torrey would have been great during our offense. I know you get tired of me saying it, but I mean, he looked like a read
No,
guy.
I
So
agree. I liked it. I liked that pick too. And I agree with you about the receivers. I think they missed the mark just a little bit. If the only one that you come away with is Sky Moore, Sky Moore's a great pick. It was a great pick where we got him. But
yeah.
I feel like it's a little underwhelming that you just got Sky Moore for the whole draft.
So let me say something about Justin Ross. Somebody asked me, do we think he's going to get brought in during free agency, undrafted free agency? I actually read during the scouting process, and this is why I had Justin Ross out of my top 150. I said that you probably wouldn't even start looking to him to maybe late round 5, early 6, and most people dropped him off their boards. We spoke about it on the show. Justin Ross has some injury problems, and I don't know if he was born with it or something happened, but he has some problems with his spinal cord and his neck, and he's had to have a couple fusions
Yeah.
there. So they're saying that he may be one bad hit away from never being able to walk again. So I think teams are scared about that. I honestly think teams maybe don't want to even bring him in and put him in position because if that happens on their watch, they're going to feel horrible. So I feel like that was the reason. Justin Ross has all the talent in the world. He should have been a top 2 round pick easily, but it's that medical stuff. And that's why he may get invited somewhere. I mean, I think you'd be dumb not to, especially if he don't want to walk away from the game, but that's why we didn't draft him and nobody drafted him. So everybody's asking. I just wanted to make that clear. I did tweet it, but just in case you're not following.
Yeah. So that's where I was going anyway. So now the draft's over. There were some players left out there, obviously. So I think the Chiefs have went ahead and grabbed a couple of the undrafted free agents. Do you have a list of that by chance?
Hold up. I can pull it up really quick.
Yeah, pull that up. But yeah, that's what I wanted to go to is maybe, what did they get? And also,
Okay.
would you like to see them go ahead and take a shot on a Justin Ross or something like that, or maybe a Jerry and Ely or someone like that?
Right. So Chiefs Wire is reporting that the Chiefs have extended offers to South Dakota linebacker Jack Cochran, Maryland running back Tayon Fleet Davis. That's another dash name at running back. Of course, he's going to be amazing. Iowa State linebacker Mike Rose, who I believe should have been drafted. That's a heck of a pickup right there. A mini camp invite sent to Harvard running back Devin Darrington. I don't know much about Devin. Oh, it's Devin Carrington. They misspelled it in the headline. It's Devin Carrington. And then Kent State quarterback Dustin Crum or Croom. I don't know how he
Oh, Dustin
pronounces it.
Crum. I actually had him in my top 10 quarterbacks somewhere around 7. So it's
Okay.
not not bad.
Yeah, and then they brought in one more guy so far. It's oh no, they've added to it. Hawaii offensive lineman Gene Pryor. And then just a few minutes ago, they've added more. They give an invite for minicamp to Northwestern State wide receiver Kendrick Price and McNeese State wide receiver Trevor Begay or Begay, Begue. I don't know how he pronounces it, but that's the two new ones they've added. And if you notice, the Chiefs, they don't add those big names, those big old names that we think that should get drafted. Like who is it? Christopher Allen, linebacker edge from Alabama. I had him as my 69. He didn't even get drafted. Must be a medical thing. JoJo Doman, linebacker from Nebraska. He's right in our backyard.
That one's
No
weird
invite.
too, especially if you're going to go out and throw some offers to some linebackers and you didn't
Right.
even. That's strange to me because JoJo Doman, he's kind of that in between guy where he could literally. He's just a really small linebacker that plays in coverage a lot. But I mean, I think he could have been valuable. He's a good player.
He would be a good insurance policy behind Willie Gay. I think he does a lot of similar things there. So, I mean, it is what it is, but there has to be problems with these guys because those two were in my top 95. Christopher Allen was 69 and JoJo Doman was 95, and neither one of them even got picked. And that's pretty surprising. We were seeing JoJo Doman be mocked early as round 2 in some of these.
Yeah, so initial reaction was you said that you would like to have seen them grab Kevin Austin, but I believe it was the Jaguars that went ahead and snatched him up, and then of course I wanted Josh Jobe. The Eagles went ahead and grabbed him up. So I mean, really at this point, there's no undrafted free agents besides Justin Ross that intrigues me really. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So just to move on real quick, finish up talking about this draft grade as a whole. Like I was saying, I think the best 2 drafts, some people would argue that the Jets should be up there as well, but I don't think the Jets should count because they get like 25 million picks every year in the first round and stuff. It's kind of like I put on Twitter earlier, the Jets and the Jaguars are one and the same. Like they're just teams that are always going to have good drafts because they get a bunch of picks early, but that doesn't mean that they're ever going to do anything with them. You know what I'm saying? So it's whatever. But I think the best 2 drafts were definitely Kansas City and Baltimore. So I'm just going to read you Baltimore's draft, and then I want you to tell me if you think it's better or worse than Kansas City's. Okay. So in the first round, pick 14, they took Kyle Hamilton. Round 1, pick 25, they took Tyler Linderbaum. Round 2, pick 45, David Ojabo. Round 376, defensive tackle Travis Jones. Round 4, pick 110, offensive tackle Daniel Falele from Minnesota. Round 4, pick 119, Jalen Armour Davis, cornerback from Alabama. Round 4, pick 128, Charlie Kohler, tight end from Iowa State. Round 4, pick 130, Jordan Stout, punter from Penn State. Round 4, pick 139, Isaiah Likely, tight end from Coastal Carolina. So doubled up on tight ends there. Round 4, pick 141, Demarion Williams, cornerback from Houston. And then with their last pick in round 6 at pick 196, they took running back Tyler Batty from Missouri. They killed it, bro.
Yeah, it was a good draft. What I would say to that, though, is Travis Jones was a projected first-round pick, and some teams passed on him 2 and 3 times. So there has to be something there that we didn't see. There has to be something there that only they knew. Yeah, that might, in the end, it might not mean anything, and maybe the Ravens got us still. But like we had said yesterday, the Ravens always are one of those teams that they just seem to always – they get players to fall to them, such as Kyle Hamilton, probably the best player in the draft on everybody's big board, and he falls in their lap at 14. So they look like geniuses, but it's like who's sitting at 14 not taking Kyle Hamilton? But to be honest, you could have said that at 13 and 12 and 11 too. So at least they had the know-how to take the best player that falls in their lap. But I guess my point would be is they always tend to take the names of the players that, like, for example, Kuiper and McShay and all the big talking heads. They'll project these big players. And then when those big players start coming down the board, that's what the Ravens always jump on. If you ever notice, they were not going to pass up Travis Jones because he was a big, supposed to be first round talent, according to everybody. So they weren't going to pass him. Ojabo, great pick. He's not going to play. I mean, they can afford to let him sit a little bit. And when he comes back, maybe a monster. But he's a project. He's coming off of a bad injury. but they wasn't going to pass him up because, hey, he was supposed to be a top 15 pick. Like,
Hey,
they're
I'm gonna
that
give
kind of
them that one. I'm
franchise.
gonna give them that one. I think that was one of the smartest picks they did.
I
I thought
think
it. I think there was a lot of teams that are gonna regret passing on Ojabo when they did.
I think Charlie Kohler's a sneaky good pick at tight
He is,
end.
and you like how they insured it though. Like maybe if Kohler don't turn out to be like that, Travis Kelsey type, they went ahead and grabbed the little faster like.
Likely.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well,
I
the
like
thing
that.
about Likely is I think he's going to play. He could maybe even slide in and play a little H back kind of thing, kind of like Tennessee did with
Yeah,
Jonnu Smith and stuff.
yeah. He's
So,
small.
but I mean, come on, when Lamar Jackson's your quarterback, you've got to get like just tight ends and 4 yard dink and dunk guys because,
Right.
come
Like that's
on,
the thing about it, right? Baltimore, I think I'm still going to give the edge to KC on the better draft because Kansas City, their draft alone with what they have going on just made them intriguing enough to put them back in the talk of best team in the AFC right up there with Buffalo. Now the Ravens, although they had a really good draft, they still don't scare me. Like yeah, they could be a contender in the AFC, but they could also not make the playoffs in the AFC. So it's like it's kind of just up in the air to me. Like as far as the Ravens go, I thought their draft was good, but I don't think that it helped them as much as Kansas City's draft helped them. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the edge to Veach on that one.
I think just because Veach was started at 29 and 30, and I think the Ravens started at what, pick 13 or 14, I think.
14, I believe.
Yeah, so they started already halfway up the board. So we were kind of thinking McDuffie may land there. And then the fact that McDuffie can slide and we can go get him, and just the talent Brett Veach got with Karlaftis and McDuffie. And like I said, he may have given up a little too much for McDuffie on the back end with those draft picks. But I mean, he at the end of the day, he got the player. And you would have never said at the end of 29-30, you were going to come up with a top 5 edge rusher and a top 3 corner. And he did
Right.
it. And that's more impressive to me than to just sitting at 14 and having Kyle Hamilton fall in your lap. I mean, that takes
Exactly.
no skill. That took no
Okay.
skill.
Yeah. So a couple more things real quick. So out of all the picks that we did get in this draft, which one are you the most excited about? And which one do you think is going to make the biggest impact?
I think biggest impact year one is going to be George Karlaftis. I think he's going to. I think he already plays with a chip on his shoulder. I think he wants to be here. I think that he's definitely going to work hard. He's going to be smart. He's going to put in the time in the weight room. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get. I think he's very coachable. He will learn from Frank Clark. He will learn from Mike Dana. Even he will learn moves from Chris Jones because I think he can kick in and play next to Chris Jones on certain downs if you need him to. And I think with just his attitude and the way I feel like he's going to go about it, I think he's going to be the guy that really makes a lot of effort and propels himself to make an impact this year. And I believe in the next 2 to 3 years, though, besides Karlaftis, I do believe McDuffie, again, corners take a little while to get acclimated. So by year 2, year 3, McDuffie's going to be really good. And I believe Sky Moore will be productive enough. I could see Sky Moore maybe kind of fall into that kind of Miko kind of thing where they don't know how to use them at first, and then they try gadget plays and they try this, and he kind of gets lost in the fold, and then everybody says, "Oh, he's not worth the pick," and we could have had George Pickens, and he could fall into that a little bit. But I believe by the end of his rookie contract, he will have proved to be worth at least a second round pick.
Okay. So yeah, well, I'm going to probably talk about the same two players. I believe that the one I'm most excited to see is going to be Sky Moore. I want to see how he works out in that offense. And I do think he has a chance to be extremely successful. Like you said, he could get lost in the mix early with them trying to figure out how to implement it. But I'm not so much worried about it because that whole receiver room is new. So it's not that
Yeah.
necessarily any of them have a role already. So I think that he'll be good. I think he'll come out and make a pretty big impact. And I think he might even make the biggest impact of all the players in the draft just because he is going to be a key offensive piece, getting the ball thrown at him by Patrick Mahomes. So I do like that. But I think, if you're looking at longevity and you're looking at the big picture, Karlaftis for sure will be the one that makes the biggest impact for the Chiefs overall because I think that he has a very high ceiling. And I believe once he gets in the NFL weight room and puts some muscle on and gets stronger, I'm telling you, I know I said, the JJ Watt comp and people thought I was weird, but now that's the thing now. I've noticed everybody saying
Yep.
JJ Watt's his comp. But if he can get as strong as JJ Watt, which is a possibility, once he gets in these weight rooms and starts working, in the bigs here, he could make a huge impact. So I'm gonna go with him overall. Now, if I'm gonna go with a sleeper pick out of the draft, I'm going with Kennard. I think Kennard's gonna end up starting at right tackle. I know that a lot of people are just convinced that he's going to be shifted into guard. I think I've even seen some Chiefs fans talking about how, oh, well, maybe we're going to move Tooney out to right tackle and put Kennard in at left guard and all this stuff. And I don't think that's a thing. I think that Kennard is going to play tackle. I mean, he's 6'5", 325 pounds, something like that. Like, he's a big boy, and he's strong enough for sure. Uh, he does need to work a little bit on his pass pro. He's more of a run blocker, but I think I think he has the athletic ability and everything to really pick up on it. And I think he's going to take that right tackle job from Lucas Niang. And I think that's the offensive line you're going to be looking at. And previously before uh, the draft actually happened, I talked about how I really wanted us to get a right tackle. That gives us a step up from Lucas Niang and maybe puts us into the best offensive line in football conversation. And of course, I was bringing up people like Trevor Penning and things like that, trying to get one early. But in the big picture, I don't think that we needed somebody that high. I think that Kennard is going to fill that role, and I think we're still going to be the best, or at least in the talk for the best offensive line in football once he gets in there and takes over for Yang.
Dude, but it speaks volumes for how good our draft was because neither one of us mentioned Leo Chanel, which is insane. He's going to be good.
That
I think
is,
he's going to be solid.
yeah,
And honestly, I think out of all these guys, you're going to hear buzz in training camp. When training camp comes around, you're going to hear big buzz about Pacheco,
I like
however he
Pacheco.
pronounces it. But yeah, Isaiah Pacheco from the Rutgers, he is fast. He knows how to find the hole and get through it. And if he can get a grasp of this offense, he could really start pushing himself up that depth chart. Like,
Yeah.
he's that good.
No, I'm with you on Leo Chanel, man. Like, he's a great football player. If you watch his tape in college, I mean, he is just a downhill player. He's fast. He closes on the ball fast, and he's a run stuffer like crazy. So he always knows, where to be at. He has a good eye for the ball, especially on those running plays, man.
Do
He's
we
gonna be great.
know, this is an off the wall question, but you've seen the picture, right? Where he draws on his arms.
Yeah.
Have we figured out why he wrote Death Row on one of them? Like, what's
I
that
don't know,
about?
but I feel like that's his new nickname. So obviously, uh, there's been some nickname things thrown around. I think like as soon as we drafted George Karlaftis, one of the first tweets I saw was, "So are we going to call him the Greek Freak or what?" And I thought that
We
was
got to go
funny.
part 2 because Giannis
Yeah,
has already got that. So
yeah. Giannis is Greek Freak. We're gonna go ahead and well, it's a different sport. We can call him the Greek Freak. It's okay. I mean, Travis Kelsey's Zeus, but everybody else and their grandma wants to be named
that's
Zeus too.
true.
So it's kind of whatever. But yeah, we'll go ahead with the Greek Freak for him. And then Kennard, he looks like that dude from Moana. I can't think of his name.
I know what you're talking about. I don't.
Dude, like he looks like the real life version of him. And then there's a couple others. I think there's gonna be some good nicknames coming in. And I think that Leo Chanel, I think we're gonna call him Death Row. I think it's what it's gonna be, baby.
I mean, dude. Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Dude, I love the mentality. Like, have you noticed the shift that they're trying to make? I don't know if
It
you've
looks
noticed this.
like
There's
to me
there's
they're just
two.
trying to get.
There's two
Yeah,
shifts this team's trying to make.
I feel
I
like
mean,
they're trying to say, hey, we're gonna punch you in the mouth on defense. Like, we're gonna
yes,
get tough on defense.
there's two culture changes that I'm noticing that are taking place in Kansas City. And this year they really focused on high character, smart players with a very good work ethic. If you're looking at McDuffie and Karloftis and even Sky Moore, I mean, they're getting guys, high character guys with a good work ethic. Number two, I think the culture change on the defense is smack you in the mouth. Because with Brian Cook, the way he plays, the way Leon Chanel plays, the way Nick Bolton already plays.
Dude, the way Justin Reed plays, and that was a high
Yeah, yeah,
priority free
yeah.
agent.
I mean, I think that's definitely the tone they're going to sit out there on this defense,
Hey,
and I love it.
don't sleep on McDuffie either. He'll knock you out. He's one of the hardest hitter corners. Like, he even quoted as saying, "Hey, my mentality is I want to find." I heard him say he even let a guy catch the ball in college because he wanted to hit him. Like
but
that's
I
the
like
coolest
it.
thing I've ever
I
heard.
like it. I kind of, the selfish part of me wishes that we could have got Cam Taylor Britt to throw in the mix too.
Dude, and the Bengals took him.
I know I hate the
Oh, I
Bengals so
hate the
much.
Bengals, dude. They suck. They're so overrated.
They really are. Joe Burr.
What a stupid
Joe
nickname. You want to talk about
overrated.
nicknames? That's the worst.
Joe overrated is his nickname. I coined
Yeah,
that one.
he
Um,
sucks.
yeah. So all in all, very very happy with the draft, man. So we'll be coming back at you with more content. We're probably going to get more in depth on each pick. This is just kind of our initial reaction after day 3. It's kind of over and everything, and everybody's just kind of mentally like, oh, we've been talking about this draft a lot, so it's going to be nice just to reflect on it. Let get some marinated thoughts going, and see what we really think about each player, and we'll get back and do that. That way, we can really let you know player by player how we
Yeah,
feel
I
about
think
it.
the rookies actually report next weekend, I believe, next Friday, maybe. They all gonna be in Kansas City, I believe. So it's gonna
Right.
come at
So
us quick.
yeah, we'll get a little bit more in depth on this whole draft, and go ahead and get that out of the way, and move forward. It's time to move forward from the draft. So, like I said, we'll do one final wrap up on that thing, and then we'll just keep going. And I think we'll have some fun stuff in store for you. Of course, it'll get a little slower for a little while, and that's where the fun comes in, because I'm sure we'll come up with something crazy to do. So,
We may try to get we talked about it before, but we may try to get Kylie Manning from Kingdom Cast back on and discuss what her thoughts were about this when we do our big wrap up episode, because it's always good to hear different,
maybe.
different ideas. Well, she had just said she wanted to come back and talk about it, so let's be nice.
Well, I wasn't being mean.
I know,
I liked
but
Kylie.
well, we might not. It just depends. Like everybody's schedules are getting so hectic lately, it seems. But I think now that the draft's here, everybody's going to kind of chill.
Yeah.
So, okay,
So,
man.
yep,
Well,
good stuff. So,
I have
thanks for
nothing
listening,
else.
guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification button as well, so you can be notified whenever we come out with new stuff. Also, if you listen on the podcast, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and everything like that on whatever platform you are choosing to use to listen to your podcast. So also, let's go to allcheapedup.com, and you can read some articles and stuff. We will have more coming out on this draft on there very, very soon. So yeah, Mike, any last words?
No, not at all. I'm just very pleased. It's been an emotional weekend, to be honest. I just want to chill for a little bit.
Yeah, it's been good. All right, you guys relax, have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.
See you guys.